on everybody, this is Brandon from BTaft Fitness. So today's video we're going to be going over is mastering the squat. The first setup we're going to go over is the high bar setup. For this, it's going to sit pretty high up on your traps. You're going to grab just outside of your shoulders. Make sure you're driving your elbows down. This is going to lead to a more quad dominant squat and less hamstrings and glutes. Another way you can set up your squat is more of a low bar setup. So for this, it's going to sit more on the lower traps. You want to have your hands out wider, still trying to drive your elbows down. This is going to be more of a hip and hamstring dominant squat. Causes you to lean forward a little bit more. So really whatever version you choose is more of a preference. I'm more of a high bar squatter. Some people like squatting low bar. So play around with both. So whenever I squat, I try to take a deep breath in. I'm keeping my core tight, my back tight. I'm driving my elbows down. When I go to sit down in the squat, I want to make sure my toes are pointed slightly outwards, a little bit wider than hip width apart. This will ensure that your knees don't cave inwards and they're forced slightly outwards and drive right up to the top. So let's take a look at the side view of the squat. I want to unrack the bar and take a couple slow steps backwards, finding my balance. I'm going to sit down into the squat, making sure I'm driving my butt backwards. My weight should be more pressed through the heels than it is in the toes, making sure you're not caving forward. Okay, I'm trying to sit about parallel or a little bit below. If you don't have the mobility to go down this low safely with good form, don't do it. I'll show you some drills to improve your mobility. Let's go over some progressions that'll take you from a beginner level to a full squat. So our first one is the Bodyweight Box Squat. This is going to teach you how to sit back and down into your squat. Same form, make sure your toes are pointed slightly out, keeping your core tight, sitting back and driving to the top. Wall sits are another great drill to getting used to squatting. So keep your form the same as all the other squats. You could start off a little bit higher, and as you get more comfortable, sit down close to parallel. Once you get comfortable with those two exercises, try going back to the box squat and doing it with the dumbbell this time for added resistance. By now you should have more practice sitting into your squats, so let's try the Goblet Squat. Hold on to the dumbbell in front of you, keeping your core tight. You're going to sit down into the squat, keeping your weight more in your heels, and then drive right up to the top. So all those squats we were going over are great, but they're not going to quite hit the hamstrings and glutes like a back squat will. Starting off with the Smith machine will give you a little bit more balance than trying to do it with the free bar right off the bat. So the form should be the same. You want to sit right back down into the squat, have the box to get used to really sitting into it. Once you feel comfortable with those, you could try doing the Smith machine squat with no box. Try to sit down close to parallel or a little bit below if you can. Once you master this, you're ready for the regular barbell squat we showed in the beginning of the video. If you're not mobile enough, let me show you some stretches that could help you out with improving your squat. Falling forward in your squat is pretty common if you don't have ankle mobility. It's also very hard to drive through your heels if you keep rocking up onto your toes. So what you want to do is find a wall. You're going to extend your leg backward and drive your heel towards the floor. Try to hold each stretch for like 30 seconds to a minute. The bottom part of the squat requires a lot of hamstring mobility. If your hamstrings are too tight, they're going to cause you to not hit parallel. So what you want to do is put your foot up on a bench, point your toe up, and you're driving your hip down and back. Our hips could get very tight from doing squats as well. This 90-90 hip stretch is one of my favorites. Put each leg at a 90-degree angle. You want to keep your back nice and tall and lean forward over the front shin. Before I squat, oftentimes I'll just take the empty bar. I'll sit to the bottom position and bounce around a little bit. This helps loosen everything up, and when I put weight on, it makes it much easier. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to the channel, share it with a friend, and you have an awesome day.